everybody, it's Felisa, and today is another entry in a video a day in May. I was just kind of thinking about this topic because I don't really talk about it a lot because I don't really have a lot to lend to the subject, quite honestly, and that's reality TV shows. I don't watch them. I will be completely honest and say that I think that I watched, it had to have been the first season of Love and Hip Hop New York. And this was, I don't know, whenever it first came on. I can't even remember, child, but it was like with Yandy. I remember her, and I remember Chrissy and Jim Jones. I can't remember anybody else that might have been on the show, quite frankly. I thought it was an okay show. But number one, what you should know about me is that I don't tend to watch a lot of TV anyway, and I fall in and out of love with shows all the time, even the scripted ones. And so, I don't necessarily follow shows for years and years and years. I get bored with them and I'm tired of the same old storylines, and so I just move on. Well, I was kind of thinking because there's this reunion show that just occurred. I think it was Real Housewives, where I actually had heard so much about it that I looked it up on YouTube. Come to find out, it's like 30 parts to it. I think I watched one part. I don't know which part it was. It was whatever part it was where somebody was accused of being a liar. And I don't know who these people are. I really, really don't. I know them just because names have been mentioned, but to tell you anything in depth about them, I really couldn't. But that kind of led me to another question. There have been so many people on my timeline on my social media pages that are so heavily invested in these people, and like their team whoever and then team whoever over here, and I'm like, I don't know that reality TV is really doing us any service. If it's really like, I feel like it's kind of detrimental in a lot of ways. I mean, people become so invested in these people, which ordinarily would be characters, right? And these would be people who have their storyline kind of scripted. Like, I used to be a big soap opera fan back in the day. I was definitely a Channel 7 girl. I would start with Ryan's Hope. I remember it came on at like 12:30, and then All My Children came on at 1, and then One Life to Live came on at 2, and then General Hospital came on at 3, and then I could keep all of those storylines together, and I can tell you within about a year or two after Luke and Laura got married on General Hospital, I was pretty much done. So whenever that was, I don't even know when that was, probably, the 80s? Maybe. Anyway, the point that I'm making is that, that was just like a soap opera, and, you kind of talk about it, but you realize that these were not real people. Well, the issue that I have with reality TV is that these are people, and I don't know if the storylines are scripted or if it's just for ratings or if people actually live this way, but the influence on pop culture is astounding. The influence on, day-to-day operations and how people live is amazing. And, people talk about these people who are other human beings as though they know them. And maybe that's kind of the strangeness to it, the oddity to it. And then, on top of that, my daughters watch, I can't even tell, something about bad people, bad girls, whatever it is. But every time I turn it up, every time they have it on, somebody is fighting. Like, they had the reunion show on, and I mean, these people are just like coming to blows. And I'm like, where's your mama? I mean, I realize that these are grown people, but it's just always puzzling to me that people actually live their lives this way. And maybe that's the allure, maybe that's the attraction, but I wonder, are we becoming desensitized as a society to people behaving badly and giving passes for certain interactions or certain engagements or things like that, or if it's just off of shock value? The bottom line for me is that the more exposed you become to certain things, the more desensitized you become to it. You begin, to accept certain things as normal. That's kind of why, if you're in a toxic relationship, you tend to accept terrible behavior as normal behavior because it happens so frequently until you become accustomed to it. And I think that that's where we are now as a society. We have seen so much happen on television between adults, reasonably intelligent adults who, engage in certain behavior that probably about 5 or 6 years ago will be unheard of, or at least unheard of on the scale in which we're seeing it be presented now. So, I often wonder, is reality TV shows have exploded, I think, in the last couple of years. I think more so than scripted shows. I don't hear too much about any scripted show that comes out and people are raving about it, but I do hear about all of these Housewives franchises. There's about 30 of them now. And, all of these, hip hop shows, and just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just behind. Maybe I'm just, because I'm not a TV person and I really just kind of feel like TV sucks all the intelligence and life out of you. I don't mind being entertained. If you saw my vlog yesterday, you know that I love movies. And one of my favorite movies is The Duff, which I think is, I probably was the Duff. I probably still am the Duff. But whatever. But again, those are scripted kind of shows. You invest your hour and a half, you go on with life. And I'm not really looking for a Duff update like next week. So I kind of find it, a little off-putting. Maybe if I sat down long enough and I watched it, I would become more engaged. But the emotional investment that people are making in these people's lives, and the idea that they're off camera trying to live a normal and whole life and complete life, and it's probably impossible for them to do that, is a little odd. And I don't understand the attraction that people have for it. I don't know. Maybe somebody can explain it in the comments below. Let me know. Why do you watch reality TV? What do you get out of it? I know entertainment, so that goes without saying. But, is there a certain connectivity that you have with people who are on reality TV shows? Is there a certain perception that you have about them? Is your perception changed based upon their behavior? Do you apply that same kind of perception, awareness, change in fondness, or change in affinity to actual people that you know? I'm really just wondering, because I don't see the attraction at all. But heck, I'm just one person, and my opinion is not keeping these shows off the air. Let me know. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave your comments below. Let's chop it up. I really like to hear from you. And I will catch y'all later on.